You're listening to the Intuitive Souls podcast. I am your host, Erica Russo, and this podcast is designed to educate, inspire, and enlighten. Let's wake up together. Hey guys, and welcome to the Intuitive Souls podcast. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. Super excited that the universe led you here. If you are an OG and you keep on coming back and you keep listening and learning and growing and expanding and trusting your intuition and all that great shit, you know I love you. You know I say this every episode, but I truly do. I am just so humbled and so grateful that I get to share these episodes with you, these conversations, these tools, these tips, because this is what I'm here to do. Like, I don't think you realize, like, this is it for me. Like, I love what I do, and you guys make it possible. So just thank you so much for your support and for listening and just taking the time out to write reviews and reach out to me. Like, it means so much. I love you guys sincerely. So, first and foremost, if you are enjoying this episode, or not this episode, this podcast, if it's helping you on your journey, if it's giving you tools and tips and tricks and allowing you to expand your consciousness, if you can just take a minute and head on over to iTunes and write a review, I would really appreciate it, because those reviews allow me to get this podcast to the ears that need to hear it. But before you go ahead and submit, make sure you take a picture or a screenshot and send it to me at hello@ericarusso.co, and I am going to send you my soul alignment activation for free, just as a thank you, because you guys, like, you know, it's, first off, my soul alignment activation is pretty crazy, if I say so myself. All my coaching clients have access to it, and I've always gotten some really crazy feedback. So I want to give it to you guys so you guys can, you know, experience what it feels like to be aligned with your soul. So that's that. And yeah, so make sure you send that screenshot to me though, because if you submit it, I don't know where the reviews come from. So be sure to do that and send that to me. All that information will be in the show notes for you if that is something that you feel drawn to do. So in this episode, this was kind of like an impromptu episode. So to make a long story short, I did a TikTok. It always starts with that, right, guys? Like, I did a TikTok, and almost instantly when I posted it, there were a lot of questions coming in being like, can you talk about this? Like, what exactly do you mean by this? And basically the TikTok was just like a stupid little 15-second TikTok where I'm like, oh, you know, when I receive downloads, right? Because I don't know about you guys. And guys, everybody is different. Everybody receives intuitive information differently. And I was just trying to, like, make fun of myself, I guess. And I was saying, like, because I receive downloads when I'm working, when I'm hiding from my children, when I am about to fall asleep. That's the worst time that I get downloads, but they happen so sporadically, and I was just kind of making fun of it. But like, a lot of questions came in being like, well, what do you mean by download? Like, what is a download? Can you reiterate? And I felt like, instead of trying to explain like how I receive downloads, what downloads actually are, I'll just do a podcast episode. Because I don't think I can talk about what downloads are in less than a minute and give you everything that you need to know. So here is really, this is how I receive downloads. This is what I believe a download is. Take from it what you want. Like I said, I do not give you, one thing that I have learned on this path is everybody's different. Everybody's so different. Everyone talks to spirit and connects with spirit differently. This is how I connect. Maybe it will help you. Maybe it will be beneficial for your path, whatever the case may be. But I want to talk about it in the setting because it just gives me more time to just kind of like roll with it, right? So what is a download? So when I talk about a download, right, it's essentially a download from somewhere other than your own rational mind. Okay, so it's really, I always say like a download is something from the universe. Maybe it's something from your guides. Maybe it's an idea or a project. Maybe it's something that, you know, a problem that you might be working with. Maybe it's a solution that's downloaded within you that really doesn't feel like it came from your rational mind, your, you know what I mean? Your train of thought. Like it just kind of pops in and you're like, oh shit, that's the answer. That's the answer. That to me is what a download is. For me, the way I work with my intuition, the way I work with my guides, the way I work with the universe is I set intentions. Everything I do, I have a massive intention for it. Every post that I make, everything that I say, everything that I do, I live my life through I live my life very intentionally. So when I have a question or when I want some sort of idea or a creative spark, so to speak, what I will do is I will set an intention for it. So, for example, let's see, I wanted to create a course. Like I had this in the back of my mind, and I knew that I was wanting to create a course to help people with their mediumship development, right? I just knew that 2020 was the year that I was going to launch this course. But I had no idea how I was going to structure it. I had no idea what I was going to talk about, any of that. I just knew that I had to do it. So I think like, I don't know, maybe a month ago, I set the intention that I really wanted to start receiving downloads on how I can create a course that will help the beginner medium really understand their mediumship, understand their style, learn to be okay with all of this, learn to surrender and have faith and all of that stuff. And I just set that intention. And how I set an intention is it can vary. You know, sometimes I will do it by doing an intention candle from the House of Intuition, which I love. Sometimes it's just going to my altar and just talking to my spiritual counsel or my guides and just being like, hey, you know, like I've always had this idea. If you could start giving me some insight or ideas to put into this course, I'd really appreciate it. And like, I kid you not, when I did that, when I just did it that way, this time I didn't really set an intention a candle or do a ritual with this. I just went and I was like, I know I'm ready to create this course. If you can just start, you know, giving me downloads or inspiration or content that will help this person, you know, help whoever it is that wants this course, I'd really appreciate it. And I'll make sure to look out for the downloads, right? And within like 3 days, I just started receiving content. I kid you not. Like I just started receiving, oh, yes, that's going to be a lesson. Yes, that's going to be a training. Yes, I'm going to put that in as well. And it just flows. I don't know what else to really say. Is just like, it just flows to me. And it's not like sometimes it will come all at once. You know what I mean? Like if I have a problem and I set the intention and then all of a sudden like the whole solution will come bombarding in. That has happened, but most of the time for me, it comes in little drips and drabs. Like when I'm just falling asleep, it's like, oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, that's how I'm going to do that. And that's really how I receive downloads. So many people receive downloads differently. I have to be very, very mindful of my thoughts and everything just because all of my downloads, it all just doesn't happen like that. It comes in dribs and drabs for me. And I think for the most people, that's what happens. So now another person was like, well, what does it feel like when you receive a download? For me, I've just been so noticeable and cognizant of the downloads. I just know it's not coming from my mind. I just know it. Like I've been doing this for a hot minute, you know what I mean? Like you know when it's not coming from your rational mind. It's coming from a place of inspiration and creativity and intuition, and it feels good. That's really my biggest thing is like when I get a download and I really just sit with it and I'm like, oh, okay, what's this? And I ask myself, how does this feel? Like, what, if this is an idea or something like that, how does it feel to me? And usually it feels really fucking good. And I know that that's coming from a place of intuition, from source, from my guides, whoever the case may be. And then another person asked, like, how do I know if it's from my guides, from the universe, from God, from a spirit? You know, we can go fucking crazy trying to sit here and try to analyze what exactly comes from here, what exactly comes from our guides and everything like that. And my point is, and I'm not trying to like bash where we get, you know, well, what's your source of information when you get a download? Does it really fucking matter if it's coming from your guides or if it's coming from source or if it's coming from an archangel or whatever like that? Like, when you start working with energy, when you really start to pay attention to your downloads and everything like that, I have learned just from experience, like, how it feels when I'm connecting with my guides. It feels different. It feels different. Like, and I've said this in other episodes. I think I was having a conversation with Jenny in one of the other episodes where I was like, I know when one of my particular guides, my gatekeeper, comes in, because it literally feels like he's coming in from the top of my head and just working its way through. I know that it's coming from him. Whereas Hannah, who is our resident astrologist, her main guide comes in through her left ear. You know, it just takes practice. It just takes you opening up, allowing yourself to receive. And the more you receive, the more you're going to be like, oh, okay, I think this is coming from this, or I think this is coming from this. Whereas when I'm getting like a cosmic download, so to speak, it's just like, I don't feel it come in. It's just in. It's just in. Like, it's a clear, cognizant knowing. And I know this is very confusing, and I know that people need to know all the ifs, whats, hows, wheres, whens, but we have to remember, guys, we are just not in control of everything. And that's one of the biggest lessons that you're going to have to learn on your spiritual path, is like, you can't fucking control everything. You cannot control what your strongest, like, people get very like anxious and everything when they're trying to figure out like what their strongest clair is, and if it is coming from a guide, or if it's coming from this, or if it's coming from that. And it's like, at the end of the day, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that just yet. You first just need to allow yourself to be open enough to receive. Just receive the fucking information. Stop analyzing everything, because when we get into that analytical fucking stage where we all do, you're defeating the purpose of what it is to live an intuitive life. Okay? Being intuitive, living your life through your intuition, it means that you just stop questioning everything. Of course, you're going to question things here and there, but stop trying to fucking question things that there are no logical explanations for, because you're going to drive yourself crazy. I promise you that. Okay? We all receive downloads. We are all intuitive. We are all psychic. We all have access to higher levels of consciousness, wisdom, whatever the case may be. We all have it. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. We all have it. Most of us shut it down. Most of us question it. And we just have to learn to surrender. We just have to learn to fucking surrender. And that is going to be your biggest mountain that you're going to have to climb when you're doing this kind of work. All right. So again, okay, when I receive a download, again, I live my life extremely intentionally. Every post I make, every podcast episode I talk about, everything, I do it from a place of intention. I always do it in hopes of it getting to the right person that needs to hear it at that time, that is open to receiving this information, right? Because you can lead a horse to water, and if they're not ready to drink, they're not going to fucking drink. So my intentions, especially within my business, is always to get to the person that needs to hear it. It's always to get to the right person that is open and wanting to have this information, because that's really it. Okay. And again, with this course that I'm talking about, that's probably going to launch in August, I'm doing it with everything that I do. I always do it with intention. And I've learned that when I do it from a place of love and from a place of, wanting to be of service and from a place of intention, magic happens. Like, magic happens. I get the best fucking clients, I get the best students, I get the best feedback, and that's how I've learned to grow my business. And that's how I really do everything, honestly. Like, and again, so my little example was like, I set the intention. I just, sat and went to my altar and I was like, hey guys, like, I know I'm ready to create this course. Start giving me some inspiration. Start feeding me content that will help the person that buys this course. And sure than shit, it happened. It happened. It just flows. It flows. Sometimes it flows when I'm journaling. Sometimes it's like as soon as I'm trying to fall asleep, but it comes. That's what matters. That's what really matters. And again, sometimes it takes practice. I've been doing this for a hot minute. A lot of the times for many years, like, I would receive downloads and it would just pass by. You know what I mean? Because I wasn't cognizant of it and I wasn't being mindful of everything that was going through my mind. And it wasn't really until like I started really like learning the power of intention that I just learned how many downloads that I get just because I intended on it, if that makes any sense. Like, if I have a problem or something like that, I will set an intention of finding a solution and the solution will come. The solution always comes. And, downloads and intention, it's just like, it's so important to have both intention. Like, just be intentional. You know what I mean? Like, try it out in your everyday life. Like, if there is a problem in your life right now, or if there's something that you want to work on, set an intention for it. And again, you can set an intention just by, thinking a thought and saying, okay, universe, this is my intention. This is what I want to do. This is what I want fixed, or blah, blah, blah. And then send it out. Either you could do a visualization where you like can envision this intention being sent out into the universe, or you could do it in meditation, or do whatever feels good for you. But then the biggest thing is just staying cognizant and aware after you send that intention, and it will come, but it might not come the way you think it's going to come, if that makes any sense. Sometimes it's like, it's so hard to explain. I don't know how I'm trying to explain the unexplainable, if that makes any sense, but I'm really trying to, because I know that people want to understand this shit, because it is like it. Oh God, it's crazy, guys. But just be aware that spirit works in many fucking different ways. Like, it works in many different ways. It might not just be a download that you receive, so to speak, but it might be, I don't know, maybe a Facebook ad pops up for something that really can be beneficial to you. Maybe it's someone that shows up on your For You page on TikTok. Or maybe it's something that is a book that keeps on falling from your bookshelf. It could be so many things. Spirit is so incredible. Spirit is amazing. We have to just remember that. And spirit is going to work in so many ways. You might get synchronicities where it's like maybe something comes up in one conversation and then you go and you have another conversation with somebody totally different and that same thing comes up. That's the universe working through people. That is spirit working through all of us. Side note, this really amazing, oh my God, I need to tell you guys this story. So I had this amazing soul sign up for the Modern Mystic Society. Her name is Kim, right? And she signed up on a Thursday, 2 hours before our circle. We do circles usually on Thursdays, but we're gonna add more and whatever. So I saw her sign up and she came into the Facebook group, and I just knew as soon as I saw her join the Facebook group, I knew that I had to remind her that we had a circle in 2 hours and if she wanted to join. I just knew it. Like, I just knew it. I didn't think anything of it, whatever. So, I tagged her in Facebook, and she was like, okay. And she ended up coming to Circle. And in our circle, it was a mediumship circle. A spirit who she is strongly connected to came through. And not just with one medium, but with a couple of mediums. And it was just absolutely beautiful. It was such a beautiful healing experience to witness the messages that she received from this spirit, because she was healing from this loss. She was still in that mourning, and it was just such a beautiful experience to see. It really was. And spirit works in many different ways. Why is it that the day 2 hours before this circle, she joins the group? I know that I need to share this information with her, so she gets to Circle. And this beautiful message comes through for her. Spirit works through us. Spirit works through technology. It's amazing. It's amazing. Don't ever doubt it. Just don't, because we are all one, and we are all a part of Spirit, and Spirit works through us in many different ways. You have no idea. Sometimes you say something that somebody needs to hear, okay? So maybe that's just it. Maybe you just say that one sentence that completely transforms somebody's mindset or life, and that might have been Spirit speaking through you. We don't know, and it doesn't matter if we know or not. We have to trust Spirit. We have to trust it, because that's where the magic lies. That's really it. And God, I just went on a tangent, but guys, for real, this shit is amazing. This shit is amazing. And I can literally, if you gave me a week to think of all the ways I have seen Spirit work through other people, and just the way it will use us, use everything that it can in order to get to where it needs to go. It's amazing. It's absolutely incredible. I see it every day, and God, I love you guys. I hope I didn't get too off on a tangent with this. I hope that this gives you a little bit of oh, okay, I understand what a download is now. I hope it helps you, because I know that I get on tangents, but that's just who I am, and I love you guys, and I will see you soon.